83 and you know you're dying.
It's nice to be high at that time. It helps you have an expansiveness of mind. So, if all those arguments are true for legalization, those original arguments that we were making 20 years ago about, hey, it would be good for society if weed were legalized, it seems as though something has gone wrong in the logistics and the details of how weed was legalized. Is that the case? I mean, again, if people are cutting vape oil with other vape oils, that sounds like something went wrong somewhere along the path. So how did legalization get so fucked up?
Because of half measures, because we promise one thing but we don't deliver, right? I mean, people in the cannabis industry are, outraged by this. They want more regulation. They say this is not fair because they're doing the right thing, and then other people come along and can do everything for less and don't care about health. Right. There is a huge question of the immorality of putting toxic stuff on something someone's going to smoke.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what more should the state be doing to stop this?
Other than doing their job in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, think of it. We have the law. We have the regulation. We say thou shalt. And the question is, well, why aren't we enforcing that?
Yeah, I mean, California enforces many regulations. Yeah. It's, that's the main knock on California from someone in Texas. They'll say too many regulations, they're always breathing down your neck. So why did California drop the ball here?
Well, what I did find, and the regulators won't talk about this, the governor's office kind of like cracked down on releasing any public records. I got my requests were denied or delayed. No interviews, state. I counted on whistleblowers, people who put their state pensions at risk by talking to me and giving me information. But from what I can tell, the state viewed cannabis as, number one, a tax windfall, and number two, as a market to grow. And so the person in charge of the Department of Cannabis Control, the governor's cannabis czar, she comes from a background of economic development. And you see the resources of the agency put first. And in the one interview she gave me early on, she talked about how she wanted to set up the market first. At that point, I was asking her why wasn't she doing anything about the illicit operations that were out competing legal growers. And so I think the view was that we have to grow this market. We have to create this industry. And so you have state-sponsored market and the money, $5 million, put into a promotion campaign to tell, people like you, legal, go legal and smoke legal. They were on Facebook. These ads were all over social media. And at the same time, our first stories were running saying legal weed is not clean weed. So and it felt like they had to be drug kicking and screaming to the table to address what is in the very first sentence of the statutory authorization for the creation of the Department of Cannabis Control is public safety above everything else.
Yeah, and that was not what they were prioritizing.
No. And I don't know if they were naive and they thought, the industry will self-police and we don't need to. Or just willfully not, because there were whistleblowers. There were cannabis labs a year before us sending lab reports into the state on products that were dirty.
Wow.
And nothing happened. So the woman who was the head of the lab division has now got a whistleblower lawsuit. She was fired during the process of the reporting and has a whistleblower lawsuit out saying that they fired her because she threatened to, go outside the agency and tell other agencies about her concerns.
So they're actually firing whistleblowers.
That's her claim. What I did find is that after she was fired, they hired a private investigator who appears to have been hired to investigate her, or to find out if she was also talking to a certain reporter who was investigating.